Hi guys, my name is Roger, and ever since I was a teenager, I've always wanted to build my own car. I started this channel to see if an average person, like me, can design and build their own mid-engine car. If you like what you see here in my videos, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you know someone who you think might be interested in my videos, please share the videos with them. I'll be adding a new video every week, and with that out of the way, let's get started with this week's video. I want to show you what I'm working on here. I have the front transaxle mounts finished, so while I'm waiting on the metal to come in for the engine mounts themselves, I have the engine leveled on some wooden blocks in the front, so it's in the correct position. And I'm going to go ahead, or actually have already started going ahead and fabricating the mounts for the rear of the transaxle. And I made these plates here out of some 1/4 inch thick aluminum and bolted to both sides. And I have these rod ends I'm going to bolt here, and they will come up, and the other end will have a weldment that attaches to the frame, and this will bolt to that weldment, same as the bottom, and then there'll be a steel tube running between the two with these ends welded in the tubes. And I'm doing this on both sides. This is the other one. The mount on the transaxle was finished. And once I get those installed, I can adjust by turning the rods and putting these at the correct length, and this will triangulate the rear end of the transaxle, and then it won't be able to shift left or right or up and down. And that'll make it very strong. So this is what I've started on. The bottom mounts are basically finished, and I'm getting ready to start working on the top mounts to attach these two to the frame. So just wanted to show you this, and I'm going to get back to work on these top mounts. Wanted to show you a couple of things I've been working on back here on the back end of the car. Still working on transaxle mounts, and I have these two finished. I did these rods here with the threaded rod ends on both ends, so you can turn the tubes and adjust the length and get them exactly correct. I don't have the right bolts here to bolt these in place. I have that hardware ordered. It should be here in a day or two. But you can see both sides are in place. And I'll do the same type of construction for this two bars that go across here to support these upper frame sides, and then there will be an X brace for strength also running between these two bars. They'll run across here, and once that's in place, that triangulates this structure here to the transaxle and makes that incredibly strong. And then once the X brace is completed on top, I think that'll make the rear end of this car completely stable and as strong as it would need to be in every direction. And also I've started reworking the engine mounts. I've started taking them apart and I'm cutting new components to weld back in for the correct location on the engine mounts. And this is one side. These are the pieces of the old mounts I've started cutting apart. I need to cut all of these wales and grind this down and reuse these mounts. There's 4 of them. I'm not going to film that because that's going to be probably 2 or 3 hours of mind-numbing work, and I'm sure you don't want to see it just as much as I really am dreading doing it, but it has to be done. And I guess we'll come back after I finish dissecting these parts and cleaning them up and getting them ready to reuse, and I will film welding up and installing the new engine mounts. But see you guys again here in just a couple of hours.
bjuder upp till dans.
So I have a few things to show you here that I've been working on. The engine mounts are finished. The engine is bolted back in the car. And this is the engine mounts. I slid the engine rearward just a little, and I've made a new center part of the mount and reused the base plate and the mounts that mount to the engine. And as we come down, I've already showed you that these mounts are finished. There are bolts in the mounts, but not the correct length. The hardware is ordered. It should be here in a day or two. And I'll have to add some washers for shims here between the back of this bushing and the mount itself. I'll space that out and put the correct length hardware in. And then here at the rear, these mounts are finished. Just waiting on the correct hardware to come in. I just have these long bolts stuck in here for now. But I've showed you that before. And all of my rod ends have came in to finish all of these mounts here. I'm just waiting on the steel tubing to come in, and then I will make the two cross pieces, and then the X-brace. We'll fabricate that next and put it in the car. And then there's two of these adjustable rods that mount here, go all the way up and mount somewhere in this corner here on the roll bar. And also I went to the auto parts store and found the remaining hoses that we needed. So all of the radiator hoses, all 6 are in the car. There's 4 up front here, and then the 2 back here. I replaced one of these. I found one that fit a little bit better that I liked, so I replaced that one. I had one hose here on the front. This lower return hose is 1.5 inches. All of the other hoses are 1.25 inches, but this one that was 1.5 inches here to this tube was 1.5 inches, and then the output neck here on the radiator was 1.25 inches. And I was trying to figure out what I needed to do to make that work correctly. And what I did was I cut the neck off the bottom of the radiator and fabricated a new neck. Here's the one I cut off. I took the 1.25 inch neck off. I made one 1.5 inch diameter, and I welded it to the bottom of the radiator. So that 1.5 inch hose is connected to a fitting that is 1.5 inch diameter on both ends, and that seemed to work out well. I also modified the radiators and the mounts a little bit for clearance for the hoses and the hose clamps, and I've got all of that bolted in just to test it, and everything looks like it has clearance and works well. So for now, the only thing that I'm not happy with on these radiator hoses is this tube here comes out in almost dead center of the sway bar. So the hose doesn't align very well with it. It's pinched from underneath here. It's kind of mashed. You can probably see that a little bit. But I'm thinking I want to maybe try to put some sand in this tube and either bend it up or bend it down and miss this sway bar. But other than that, I am happy with the radiator hose routing, and everything seems to be finished up here on this end. And let's see what else. One of the next things I'm going to do when we finish these metal bars here on the back end is I'm going to start working on a bulkhead here, or a firewall bulkhead, whichever, between the engine and the cabin area. And it'll come down, have a notch around the engine here, and it'll go forward and then down right in front of the gas tanks, and should be solid caulked in or something all the way around the perimeter. want to show you what I just finished working on and welding. This X brace here on the rear of the car is welded up completely and installed, and this will give support and strength to the frame rails because there's nothing tying them at the top, so this ties them together, and then the diagonal keeps them braced. I think that's going to be about it for this week. We managed to finish installing the transaxle and get this X brace welded and installed, and next week we'll start working on these other support tubes that go up to the roll bar. And if I can get by and purchase the things I need, I'm going to start making a firewall to go in here, which is laminated out of 3 pieces of material, and we'll have to get those laminated up and cut to fit and weld some little tangs or tabs on that roll bar to mount the firewall in. But I'll see you guys again in 1 week, where we'll continue working on these things and see if we can finish up the engine and transaxle installation.